All right, PragerU, bullshit YouTube channel. Not actually a university. They like to call themselves that, but you know, they're a bunch of I don't even know if they're grifters. I think they're just stupid. Anyway, it's all bullshit. I just want that to be clear. I just want that to be out in the open. It's all fucking bullshit. Everything they do is they don't actually PragerU doesn't actually give a shit. PragerU just wants to pretend like they give a shit so that they get a bunch of money and they get a bunch of YouTube views. It's all funded by, you know, Dennis idiot fucking Prager. So, yeah, no, let's talk about this. Let's go over some Prager University. Please go where the crime is. Now, I have a good feeling about the arguments that they're going to make here. And, of course, I haven't seen this because they're all so stupid and so dumb that I can just watch them and debunk them as they're going. That's the basic idea here, is that they're all, you know, they're not making actually good or fact-based arguments. So let's go ahead and see what PragerU has to say.
The police are my friends, a senior citizen blurted out.
Whoa! Okay. Okay.
In the middle of a police community meeting I attended in the South Bronx. I've heard variations on this theme.
Who the fuck is this? Heather McDonald. Senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute. Holy shit, we got it. We got it. Manhattan Institute for Policy. They're conservative. They are, yeah, no, we're gonna, for those of you who don't know, Manhattan Institute for Policy is a, conservative think tank. Hey, stop pulling at the carpet. Conservative nonprofit think tank focused on domestic policy and urban affairs. And that's right from Wikipedia. And I want to say, sorry, I'm going through this here really quick, just because I want to make sure that we have all of the facts, all of the information, because that's how they argue, right? Facts and logic. Here's sourcewatch.org. Ha ha. Yeah, so they all have, I mean, they're all, you know, conservative, deep money, like deep pockets, like super conservative fucking billionaire funding. I wonder what the SPLC says. I will say that they're a bunch of fucking dumbass grifters who actually don't care about black people. They just like to pretend that they do. And this person, oh, this is her actual Wikipedia page. Rejects that police are racist. Wonderful. Has called for return to stop and frisk, which is racist. Zero tolerance, which is racist. We know this. We've seen this. And yeah, okay, cool, fun. All right, let's go back.
Dozens of times from the law-abiding residents of high-crime communities. These hardworking...
Heard this dozens of times from the law-abiding residents of crime-ridden communities. Now, I really... I don't believe her. Actually, I don't believe her. I'm not saying that people don't say, oh, well, you know, I like the police, but we wouldn't be seeing riots and protests if people were like, yeah, police are great. No, there's something wrong. Otherwise, why are people rioting and why are people protesting?
People don't loathe the police. Quite the opposite. They understand what so many seem to have forgotten or never understood. Police spend most of their time in minority communities.
They do, and I know why she's going to say this, and I'm going to let her say it first, but the reason why they spend their time there is not the reason she's about to tell you.
That is mostly black communities, because that is where innocent people are most being hurt by violent street crime.
False. That is... So, it's actually not a fact that crime only happens to innocent people in these communities. So, there's an idea of self-justified policing, or self-fulfilled policing, or something like that. Basically, the idea is that when police go into a particular area or a particular neighborhood or something, and they say, okay, like when they go in there and they start looking for crime, they see more crime. That's why you don't see majority upper middle class white neighborhoods have a ton of crime, because there's no police. Police aren't there to see crime. Police actually cause crime to happen. Not like they're going out and like kicking over trash cans and saying, "Oh, you did that." Like they're the reason that police are doing that is because the areas are over-policed, causing a deficit in economic opportunity, and then causing people to have to only be able to commit to crime to get by. Like this happens in neighborhoods all over the country. It's the increasing of police means people who would not normally get caught for something like jaywalking and disproportionately treated causes police to have to go further to the neighborhood because they're seeing more crime there. And they're only seeing crime there because, they're seeing minor crimes and they're told to do anything with minor crimes, and they're told to do things like stop and frisk, where they're disproportionately going after black people. Where if you were to go off to, a middle to upper middle class white neighborhood, you see kids jaywalking all the time. You see kids being stupid all the time. You see all of this stuff happen actually quite a bit. But people don't care. People don't sit here and are like, hey, we're like, we're gonna find more crime here. Like it's not the fact that they don't actually look at this as what it is. They look at this as there's more police there. They obviously police go to where there's crime, and that's not true. Where police go, crime tends to happen more because police have a greater presence and they're noticing more crime. It's actually the same amount of crime that's happening there. Just like if I were to go to a place where I live, like somewhere around the Midtown area, there's still crime happening there, but there's not a lot of police there, so they're noticing less crime there. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen, that just means that they're not seeing it.
To put it plainly, police go where the crime is.
Again, false. Police don't go where the crime is. Police go where they're told to go, and they discover crime where they're told to go. Like, if I were to go to, say, the neighborhood in which I grew up, and another, in another similar neighborhood in the northern part of my town where people are like, oh, it's, whatever. Like, there's actually not an increase in crime there. There's just an increase in noticing the crime because there are more police there. And they're more likely to go through and be like, oh, well, you're walking around with a pocket knife. We're going to, I stopped and frisked this person and I found a weapon on him. When, kids where I'm at walk around with fucking guns all the time. But no one was arrested. When I was, no one gets arrested because police aren't fucking there.
In the 75 largest U.S. counties, about 60% of robbery and murder defendants are black, even though blacks comprise only 15% of the population.
Oh, yes! Fuck yes! Fuck yes! Yes! Okay, this isn't the exact 1350. I love this. I love this argument because it's so fucking easy to debunk. 1350. All right, we're going to do this 1350 shit. Now, 1350 is a racist argument. For those of you who don't know, it goes 13% of the population gives 50% of all violent crime. Sometimes you'll find 1352. It's this has been widely debunked, and it's been used. And it's only based off one small table that basically comes from a huge set of source and is so cherry picked out that it's no longer relevant. So the actual this is literally just fear-mongering here. It's the actual thing that we've noticed, and it's not that, black people commit way more crime. It's not skin color. It's economic status. It's poverty that causes an increase in crime. If you want to stop crime, you need to invest in these communities. If you want to, make communities better, you need to not necessarily throw as much. We don't need police. We need investment. We need social workers. We need people out trying to do working on the streets, working in the area. Like, if there's gangs in a neighborhood, what do you think is going to help a gang? A decent after-school program that gives children a place to be after school in a safe manner that they can be, overcome with, or just a fuck ton of police telling children they shouldn't be out and shooting them if they are. I don't know about you. I think that the social workers and the after-school communities and projects is so much better than police. Like it's, and in fact, I'm not the only one who thinks so. We know that's the case because in a lot of majority, upper-class white neighborhoods, even like upper middle class white neighborhoods, they have options like this available. They have clubs at school. They have, organizations in their area that these kids can go to. They have like an after school care program for kids in elementary school. So they're not going out and getting involved in gangs. They're not getting involved in anything like that. They have these programs that are available to effectively be there because their parents may have to work. And for my mom, who raised me as a single mom, she took advantage of that, and I'm glad she did. Like, but it's something we had. It's something we had available. A lot of people in these other communities, they don't have that. They're in poverty and they are almost forced to resort to crime, but they get involved in crime because they have nothing else to do. It's just like, well, I'm now getting involved with this person who's a friend of mine, and now my friend's getting involved in this gang, and and dads actually are leaving a lot because of Reaganomics, and that's a huge thing. Like, Reagan was a fucking god. Reagan really fucked a lot of things up with this country, but it's just the amount of, like, holy shit is just going on with all this. It's just, there's mental gymnastics that are happening here with this. And when you're looking at an argument like this, you really have to understand where that data is coming from. And the data isn't showing that black people commit more crime. The data is showing poor people commit more crime because they're less economically empowered. And this is something that we've known. This is something that if you take, two people and you offer one slightly higher wages, if you take two people that live in the same community, everything like that, and you offer one slightly higher wages, slightly better opportunity, you will see that person generally does better. They don't have, you might see the other ones resort to a little bit of crime, but because you don't see crime when people are well off. You don't see crime when people have what they need. You only see crime when people don't have what they need. That's when they need to resort to crime. That's why it's called resorting to crime. And so, this it's a 1350 argument. And this is horseshit.
Population in those counties. In New York City, blacks make up 73% of all shooting victims, though they are 23% of the city's population.
Okay. I don't understand what she's trying to get at with. But no, don't. Well, no, they don't. A lot of dads aren't leaving. They're getting arrested. It's not like they're leaving because, like, oh my God, I'm poor. I can't support my family. There's a lot of men, especially in black communities, who don't want to be taken away from their family, who really care about their families. But they're getting arrested because they have to resort to crime in order to feed their families, in order to take care of their families, in order to put food on the table. They have to do things that a lot of people look at and be like, that's not okay. And if we, not really, rich people steal too. They just steal. That's called capitalism. Hey, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. That's called capitalism. And plus, it's not technically crime because it's fucking bullshit. Like, I agree rich people commit crime. But that's not that's the point she's making here. Also, I don't know what the point of 73% of shooting victims are. Are you saying black on black crime? So, if so, okay, but how do we address that? What's the solution? How do we get people to stop shooting each other? I'd like to know. Please tell me. Though I know she won't. I know she won't actually give me a valid reason.
In Chicago in 2016, there were 4,300 shooting victims, almost all black.
Yes, there were 4,300 shooting victims in Chicago in 2016 because Chicago is one of the most gang-infested cities in the country because of rampant capitalism and rampant poverty. And the people who are vastly affected by that poverty are black people. Again, this doesn't have anything to do with race. This has to do with economics. I'm not trying to be like a class reductionist here, but what I'm trying to say is when you're looking at crime, economics is a much, 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 much bigger problem. 70% of dads leave, they aren't in jail. Do you have a source for that? I'd really like to see that source. Yes, even when it's technically crime, rich people get away with it. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, absolutely. They get away with it all the fucking time. Even when it's crime, because they're rich. They have money to pay people off.
Among the 24 victims under the age of 12 was a 3-year-old shot on Father's Day who is now...
And that's bad. No one's saying that's not bad.
...now paralyzed for life. And a 10-year-old shot on Labor Day whose pancreas and spleen were ripped apart.
Again, it's bad. No one's saying that kids getting shot isn't a bad thing. No one's making that. Yeah, absolutely, person. Like, I don't mind. I would like to see the source. No one's saying that that's not a bad thing. What people are saying is that the problem isn't what you think it is. Like, anyone who you could bring this information to is gonna say, oh yeah, this is horrible, this is awful, I don't like seeing this. But when the rhetoric you're posing doesn't actually provide a solution and says, quite the opposite, and is trying to cause further division, that's the argument people have. That's what people are trying to say.
This is the reality that police commanders in urban areas face every day.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like, no, absolutely. Like, and that's why money needs to get out of politics. It's fucking terrible. Yeah, I agree.
And every day they get calls from law-abiding citizens in high-crime neighborhoods begging for assistance.
Yeah, they do, and a lot of those calls get ignored. Or if they do get answered, they go in with vastly too much force or or ill-equipped police officers. Police officers doing wellness checks and going in and shooting the people. Like, that's huge. That's not something that's uncommon.
So are the police friend or foe?
Depends. This is a really good question. Police are both, I would argue. Not because of like some like misguided ideology or whatever, but there's the system of police. Obviously there are people in the police who aren't bad people. I'm going to go ahead and make that clear. There are police officers who don't intend and go out and be like, yeah, I want to fucking kill people and hurt people and cause problems. That's not, I mean, there are also yeah. There also are people in the police who are. There are people in the police who look at black people and say, you're less than me. It happens. And that's what we call the bad apples. And the whole saying of the bad apple ruins the bunch. Oh yeah, no, a large percentage of crimes go unsolved. It's ridiculous. Like, crime gets reported and almost nothing does in this country because they're not incentivized to solve crimes. They're incentivized to shoot black people. But the systems of enablement in which police exist in cause the bad police officers to become rampant and to go unchecked. So even though you might have, like, you might know or be related to a police officer who generally is a good person and who wants to do good, like, I can say personally, I know police officers who are good people. I don't impugn them for being police officers. If I were to impugn them for any reason, like if I were to find out that they had an opportunity to report a colleague for overuse of force, overreacting and violence, or anything like that, that's when I would impugn them, because it's a system of silence that the police work under. They don't work under something that says, oh, if you speak up, you will, be able to find and get the help that you're looking to get out and everything. They will just point out and say, oh, hey, this is bad. This is bad. This is a problem. This is bad. Like, no, you don't get that. You just have, like, if someone says that, they just say, you're trying to hurt me. You're trying to hurt me, and they have like a mentality in the police force. I don't know what the fuck to call it within their precinct to effectively say, no, we're going to enable these people because they're good cops. Like, they just make mistakes sometimes, but that's the problem, and that's what we're saying.
Are they engaging in an epidemic of deadly racist violence, as we so often hear?
Yes, they are. Absolutely are. It is an epidemic. I'm not saying, but epidemics don't need to be every last person in the police officer and the police every last police officer takes place in it. That's not what an epidemic means. An epidemic means it's a widespread systemic problem. I don't think you're going to find anyone who's going to be like, no, I disagree with that. Like, we know that police using excessive amounts of force on black people is a problem. That's not something, the problem is why, and that's the question is why, and how do we solve it?
In 2019, the police killed 235 blacks, most of them armed or dangerous, out of 1,004 police shooting victims overall.
Okay, and the key thing that she's leaving out here is that percentage of population-wise, this is, like, if I were to look at this, 235, that's roughly 23.5%. That's more proportionally than there are people in the country. Now, if they were armed or dangerous, okay, well, first of all, is that true? Not all of them were armed or dangerous. We know that. We know that people like Breonna Taylor, who wasn't armed. We know people like, God, I can't remember his name, Minneapolis father. He was shot in his car. what was his name? Philando Castile. We know Philando Castile, like, he wasn't dangerous. He may have been armed, and he was armed legally, but you can also whisper it to me. I'll take a look. Sorry, we know he was armed, and he was armed legally, but, sorry, cough. That doesn't mean that he was dangerous. So, even according to your own argument that if black people make up 13 or 15% of the population, 23% is still disproportionate. That's how that works. That's how proportions work. That's just numbers.
That 25% ratio is actually less than what the black crime rate would predict, since police shootings are a function
Whoa! Whoa! False! Jesus. You fucking look at the number on that. Holy shit.
of the rate at which officers encounter violent suspects.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna listen to that one more time.
Would predict, since police shootings are a function of the rate at which officers encounter violent suspects.
No, they are not. And we can prove this by a number of things. The first of which being the fact that black people are disproportionately taken advantage of as far as violence goes by police. Do you want to know why people like George Floyd get shot and people like Kyle Rittenhouse get left alone? Like Kyle Rittenhouse, someone who actually murdered someone, 2 people in fact, and left a third in the hospital, police just let him go. Not even cared. Whatever, just let him walk. He was a violent suspect. He was an active shooter. Those are facts. And the police just let him walk. No one cared. George Floyd, guy selling, a guy that got pulled over, was fucking stood on his neck for 9 minutes. Kidscount.org. All right, I pulled it up. I'll look at it in a minute. But there's the problem there. There is ostensibly a problem. They only use shootings majorly against black people. They don't use it against white people. Like, how many white people have been taken into custody when black people just get gunned down?
What about the unarmed victims of fatal police shootings? As of June 1st, 2020, the Washington Post's database of fatal police shootings in 2019 showed 9 unarmed black victims and 19 unarmed white victims.
Again, what does this mean? What does this have to do with anything? Are you trying to say that, again, this isn't actually an argument, that you're basically trying to say that black people get shot proportionally, even in unarmed situations, more than white people? That's literally the point she's making here. She's not making a point that, it's an epidemic, but it's really not that bad. She's making, at this point, literally, if we take the data as it is, which I would have to double check, it's not saying what she wants it to say. It's saying that black people are still disproportionately shot, even when unarmed. That's the facts.
Of fatal police shootings. By comparison, about 7,500 blacks die of criminal homicide a year.
Okay, again, this is a straw man, because you don't actually care about black-on-black crime. You just care about delegitimizing Black Lives Matter. That's the point. She doesn't actually give a shit about this number. She looks at this number and she's like, not enough. Like, literally, that's what she's doing. Like, she looks at it and she's like, that's not enough. Like, she's just genuinely being fucking ridiculous here. Sorry, I'm looking at one more thing on this really quick. And that's what she's not. If she was actually making this point to say maybe we should be addressing black on black crime, I would agree. Maybe we should be addressing crime in general and say, why is that being caused? Again, it's not being caused by the reason she wants to, because she's going to make some sort of like essentialist argument that it has to be because black people have a difference in their brain, which is not the case. It's all, like I said, specifically in the realm of crime, there's a very, very, very large economic factor. Like, if we were to break this down to economics and not just race, I would be 100% certain that what would end up happening is that you would find that people that die of criminal homicide are dying because of there are some larger economic factors at work here. And that's not even a hot take. That's just a fact.
You know about George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, but what about Tony Timpa? In 2016...
Tony Timpa. All right, let's look up Tony Timpa. All right, let's look it up. Tony Timpa. This is from the DallasNews.com. I vaguely remember this guy being something very similar. And again, people fucking protested this. I remember this now. Yeah, I remember this happening now. People protested this too. It didn't draw national attention, but people protested this. People called for justice. People called for police reform. The reason why this did actually get pretty big. I want to say CNN even covered this too. Like, it was really big. I don't know why it's not. Anyway, no, this actually was a thing. People protested this. USA Today fucking did it. Yeah, no, it's like this was actually a big deal. Like, this wasn't a small thing. Yeah, it wasn't probably not as big because, to be honest, black people were injured and killed a whole hell of a fuckload more. But it was still a big fucking deal.
3 Dallas police officers held the handcuffed Timpa, a white man, on the ground for 13 minutes with a knee to his back.
And maybe they shouldn't have fucking done that, and we wouldn't have had George Floyd die. Maybe that's a problem. But, of course, she's not going to say that. She's going to say, well, no one cares about white people. And that absolutely is what she... And then, in her mind, that's what it is. But that's not the case. People aren't saying that, oh, white people don't matter. People are saying, look, crime happens in a lot of places, in a lot of situations. Maybe we should fucking address that crime. Maybe we should address the problems and systems of injustice which leads to this crime. Maybe we should have better trained police officers. It's not about, in her mind, it's not about, addressing police and addressing the problem. It's about saying, oh, police are fine. They don't do anything wrong. And this is actually she's just using this, which was a fucking... Again, perfect example of police brutality in a manner to dismiss any sort of legitimate criticism of the police. Or criticism, sorry.
Well, he pleaded for help. His death was ruled a homicide caused by the officer's physical restraint and by cocaine.
Okay. Oh, God. No, don't tell me that you're going to make some bullshit fucking take about... He was on cocaine, and that's why he couldn't breathe, because that's bullshit. That's fucking horseshit. Jesus Christ. That's literally a homicide by the police officers. The cocaine has nothing to do with it. Do you know how I know that? Because if I were to put my knee on the back and crush anyone who's not on cocaine, I could still crush their windpipes and still kill them. Obviously, I don't do that, but I'm just saying that means that drugs have nothing to do with it. It's fucking how it works. That's how breathing works. If you can't breathe, you die. That's a fact.
The point here is not to justify police misconduct, but to
No, for you, it absolutely is to justify police misconduct, especially when it's against minorities.
But the claim that questionable
Also, that face right there, like, God, I want
to justify police misconduct.
Sorry, I just saw that face when it was paused.
But to rebut the claim that
it just looked like she was getting ready to take a load to the face. Jesus Christ. Oh, shit.
Questionable tactics occur only or even disproportionately in the case of black suspects.
But they do. They do. No one's saying only. They're saying disproportionately. Disproportionately to the population, they occur against black people or minorities. And because if we saw this, we would actually see, if this wasn't disproportionate, you wouldn't see the fact that proportionately there is a higher percentage of people who are black who get shot and use lethal force on against a percentage of white people or any other people compared to the population. That's the point. That's what disproportionately means. And as far as the riots need to end, I would like them to, but it's not going to happen until we have a real change and real conversation, and that's not happening. It's not happening in the current administration. People who say, people who look at all this and they just, a lot of people just are uncomfortable with it. And I'm not saying that you're in that situation. I'm not trying to make an assertive argument like that. What I'm trying to say, though, is that when people look at that and they're trying to say, I just wish these riots would be over and everything, and, there's a lot of people who just are refusing to have the conversation, which is why this is going on. So like I said, I'm not necessarily justifying them, but I understand why they're doing it.
Indeed, it is premature to conclude that the killing of George Floyd was a product of racial animus at all, as opposed to poor...
Holy shit. What? What? Fucking... Was it, I don't remember his name. I'm looking it up here. Blah, blah, blah. Derek Chauvin. Yeah, no, fucking Derek Chauvin. What? What the fuck? He had... Okay, it's almost impossible to empirically and 100% say that, yes, it was caused because Derek Chauvin was a racist. And that's because I can't 100% know what anyone actually believes or stands besides myself, because I'm not listening to their brains. I'm not. I can know what they say, but people lie. I'm not saying everyone does. I try to be as honest with myself as I can. I try and put out, how I feel. Yeah, I have my small lizard brain, and my lizard brain does lizard brain shit, but I stay true to my core beliefs and core values. But what we can tell you is that after fucking 9 minutes, it certainly wasn't about restraining him. There was a level of violent intent. Because you don't just knee on someone's back for 9 minutes. I'm sorry, that's not a reasonable thing for anyone to do.
Poor training and the officer's unfit temperament.
Okay, and would you address either one of those? Because I guarantee you she wouldn't. I guarantee you she wouldn't look at police officers and be like, we need to increase their training from 24 weeks to 2 years. She wouldn't do that because she doesn't care. She's trying to keep the status quo. That's all she's trying to do. She's trying to keep the status quo that makes it comfortable for rich white bitches like her to go out and do the rich white bitch shit.
Ideally, officers would take no one's life in the course of their duties.
Yeah, that would be ideal. And actually, I would love to see a system where police don't even carry weapons. That would be kind of amazing, wouldn't it? Like a society where you didn't have law enforcement, people in law enforcement that had to carry weapons. That'd be fucking awesome. It'd be base as shit. But that's not the society we live in. And that's not the society we live in because police aren't trained well. We don't properly screen police. And it causes way more problems down the road.
But in light of the number of arrests that officers make each year, around 10 million, and the number of deadly weapons attacks on officers, 27 a day.
Okay. If there are that many, what are the reasons that that's happening? Are they getting attacked because of they escalated first? Why are they getting attacked? I'm genuinely curious here because I don't know this data. Oh shit, I didn't know you could do that on full screen. That's kind of cool. I genuinely don't know what the data looks like here. But I can tell you that 27 a day seems a little high. I don't know if that's padded, if that's average, or what the time period on that was. But I can tell you that a lot of them could be from violent criminals. They could be from, someone who is mentally disturbed and mentally not in a good place, and the police weren't the right people to send. They could be from any number of reasons. So, I'd love to see what that number of reasons are. But of course she's not going to say that because that doesn't fit the narrative.
It is not clear that 1,000 civilian deaths, the vast majority occurring in the face of potentially deadly attack, show a law enforcement profession that is out of control.
Yes, it is. Because law enforcement should be highly trained, not sort of trained, and given military toys. Like, there's literally a reason why people in the military undergo as much training as they do. Like, okay, a police officer gets, say, 24 weeks on average of training, and that's 40 hours a week. That's not like 24/7 training. Military, like people in the military after basic is 12 weeks of 24 hours a day intensive training, and they're under strict orders, strict supervision. It's not like, oh, hey, we're gonna go off and learn how to do an obstacle course. Oh, hey, we're gonna go learn how to shoot. It's literally you're getting your face shoved in the mud. You're going through basically hell while learning to be a soldier. But if you burn down somebody's store that has nothing, well, yeah, and I agree that that's a problem, but I also understand the fact that people aren't listening to them, and there is power in getting people to listen to you, and that's the problem. That's the problem is people have gone unheard for too long, and so it's like it's almost like, well, it's tough because like you don't want to endorse this, but what can you really like ultimately get down to? Because it's really hard, and I'm not trying to say that they're right to destroy stuff. I'm just saying it's really like morally it's a tough call because they're not being heard, they're not being taken serious, and we still have all these problems. I don't know what I would be put into the same situation. But I also like I can't say I would, I can't say I wouldn't. It's just I'm not in that situation. I don't know. And that's the problem. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Can police methods be improved? Of course they can.
How? How would you improve them? Are you going to go into them? I'd like to hear how you can improve them.
With more hands-on tactical training.
Nope. Wrong. Wrong. This is warrior training. Tactical training in her mind is warrior training. Also, God, she has this like fucking orgasm face. Holy shit. Well, MLK also like endorsed violent riots too. Like MLK wasn't the he didn't partake himself because of religious reasons, and he took a vow of nonviolence for his pastorship, but he fully endorsed the Black Panthers. What's that political cartoon? Yeah, right. Like I like there's a political cartoon that's like basically talking about how non-violent he was, but no, MLK fully endorsed rioters. He basically went just one step shy of telling people to be like, nah, go out and burn shit down. Like it was pretty apparent. But anyway, what she's talking about here, tactical training, is warrior training. It's a mentality. It's a form of mentality training that says, oh, hey, I want you to be, you need to get into the mind of a warrior. You need to get into the mind of someone who has to defend the weak and defend the innocent, and you're the strong. And what that does is that otherizes people. It otherizes the people they're policing, and to say that every person out here is a potential threat. And they can't take anyone at their face. It's who's a threat. Like they're literally out there like, I'm trying to think, like they're out there like fucking God, Die Hard. What's his name? Bruce Willis's character. John McClane. They're out there like John McClane. Who's coming at me next? I'm fucking ready. Like, that's what they're doing. That's what the mentality is. So we don't need tactical training. They need de-escalation training, yes, not tactical training.
More practice in de-escalation.
Oh my God, she fucking said it. Holy shit. Holy shit, she said it.
And better techniques to control stress.
Yeah. Or mental screenings, mental evaluation. What about accountability? What about independent investigations into police misconduct? What about longer training? What about not using police for certain situations that police don't necessarily need to be involved in, like a traffic officer for traffic? Like what about shit like that? People escalate because they see escalate as forces being escalated upon them. People don't escalate because they're like, yeah, I want to really fucking kill some shit today.
What won't help is defunding police agencies.
Nope, absolutely will help. We've seen this. We've seen that. And it's not, because it's not about removing money from police. I'm actually a big proponent of reappropriating police funds to smarter things. For example, cutting funding from appropriations. Oh yeah, no, police unions are huge, but police unions do a couple of things. Police unions can absolutely hinder progress, but they can absolutely help it too. It's really weird because it all depends on the union membership, which is why you need oversight. Defunding. So when people are saying defund the police, what they're saying is maybe stop spending money on, buying armored vehicles. Maybe stop spending money on, completely unnecessary bullshit things like executive salaries. Like, fucking police chiefs don't go out and stop crime. They don't go out and investigate. Like, the city where I live, we actually increased our executive salaries by $20 million, but cut detectives, like funding for the detectives, that people who actually solve crimes, by like $13 million. What the fuck? And then people were like, why did you increase $20 million on executives? And they're like, we're not going to tell you, just a black box. Have fun. So we don't know what the fuck they're doing with that money. Of course we don't, because they're not going to tell us. But that's the problem. That's the problem that we're getting at. That's the problem that I'm trying to point out here, is that you don't understand what defunding the police really means. It means reappropriating finances to appropriate places, put more money into proper forms of training, put more money into community investment and community involvement, put more money. Like, when I see a protest, I actually really, really, really want to see, like, firefighters and EMTs go out and just start handing out water. Like, that's really the extent that law enforcement should be involved in, or, civil services, I guess, should be involved in, like, a protest. Here's where we can protest, whatever, that's fine. But we're going to make sure that you're hydrated. We're going to make sure that if, you get a scrape or you get a cut, most protests actually police themselves. Or at least most of Black Lives Matter ones do. A lot of other ones, kind of a little bit less. But specifically in the Black Lives Matter case, those are self-police protests. In fact, there's videos of protests that happened in my city where people were actively de-escalating people who wanted to clash with the police. Like, people would come in with, like, intent, and they'd be like, no, you need to leave, and they push them out. But you see medic tents get destroyed. You see water stands get absolutely, like, bottles and bottles and bottles of bottles, like pallets of water, just gets all crushed and cut and, gotten rid of. Like, all you're doing is exasperating a situation.
Officers in depleted departments who cannot get backup when they face dangerous suspects will be even more stressed out.
Yeah, again, that's a problem, but that's not a problem the way that you think it's a problem. It's a problem, the fact that we're not properly investing in the right areas, and all the money in police and all the stuff in law enforcement is going in the wrong places. That's what we're getting at. That's the whole point here.
And more at risk of making bad decisions. Response times will increase.
Okay, commonly police response times is largely dictated by the dispatcher, not by the police. Police response times that are dictated by the police is done out of some sort of vindicative aspect. It's not done because they're like, oh, we don't have enough people. It's done because they're just like, we're gonna, not go as fast. That's why police dispatchers across the country have gone through and made open claims that there are enough law enforcement agencies for the dispatch that they're getting. Police just aren't doing it.
Cash-starved agencies will train less, not more.
Well, no. They'll still train, but they'll train them in the wrong things. They won't train them in the proper things. Like, again, more training isn't necessarily a good thing if it's just warrior training. More training is a good thing if it's de-escalation training. If it's, offering incentives for people to go off and have, stress reducing, like honestly, if police were to go take stress relieving methods, stress relieving methodology, and be like, you have yoga or something, yeah, absolutely, it'd be better. But they don't do that.
If the goal is to reduce crime, Shifting police funding to social services is also a mistake.
No, it is not. This is, okay, this is, again, another fallacy we kind of talked about earlier, but this is absolutely not a mistake. This is one of the biggest things that we can do to actually reduce crime. So let's look at why. Let's look at an example of why this is a huge cost saver. Now, say I live in a, I don't know, say I live in a neighborhood, and or say you have two of me. One lives in a neighborhood with a pretty well infrastructure, lots of jobs that are available, lots of opportunities, good schools, well invested, a well invested infrastructure. And then you have the other me living in another neighborhood where there just aren't a ton of jobs. There's not a ton of places for people to work because it's all really run down. It's really dingy. It has poor schools because they don't have proper funding. There's not really after school activities because the school doesn't have money to fund the activities. Parents have to work a lot because they can barely put food on the table. A lot of stuff like that. So why in each situation, what in each situation would you say? But there's a large police presence, a lot larger than the first situation. Now, again, as we've discussed, police go where they're told, and because police are in an area, they see more crime. That's just a fact. If a crime is happening where there's no police, the police aren't going to say, "Oh, hey, there's a crime happening," because they don't know there's a crime happening. If a crime's happening where a police sees it, you're going to see more crime because police are seeing more crime. It's not like, oh my God, there's magically more crime. It's just police are there, so they're seeing more crime. That's just how it works. But why would it be investing in the community be a better option, be a better idea? Because now, if you invest in the community, you're telling people who might be local to the community to open up businesses, to start, say, a restaurant, or start a a clothing store or something like that. Oh, hey, here's a Target that's coming in. I know Target's pretty gentrified, but here's oh my God, a Starbucks came in or something like that, or someone's opening up a restaurant that makes burgers, like a burger joint, or or doing a barbecue place or something like that. All of a sudden, they need people to work for them. They're investing in their community by paying those workers to do the labor that other people aren't doing. That's a huge reason, and that's what the investment in social workers does. The social work, that's part of what a social worker will do, is they'll go in through and they'll say, hey, look at this. You can invest money in here, and you can see the community flourish because now the community has more opportunities, and now the community has more available to it. If you have social workers that run after school, hi, baby. I have a baby. She babied her way into the stream. Say, Lana, say hi. Say hi. Say hi. If you have social workers opening up after school activities, or talking to people about very real problems like depression, you have social workers looking at that kind of stuff, and you have them addressing that kind of stuff, all of a sudden, you don't tell a community that, excuse me, you don't tell a community that we only care about policing you. You're telling a community that they care about the well-being of that community. That's why it's so much more important to shift this money around. No one's saying, oh my God, we can't have police anymore. What they're saying is, police are juggling too many things. Let's reanalyze what they're juggling and saying, can we put this off somewhere? Say your car breaks down on the side of the road, or you're in an accident. Instead of calling the police, you call a civil worker that comes out, is trained in adjustments, like an insurance company adjustment. They can take a look and kind of start to determine what's going on. They can bring out a tow truck if they need to have a tow truck, and get vehicles moved so it's not blocking the road. That would be a much better system than just police coming out there. And then you have to still bring the tow truck out, and then you still have to get the insurance companies involved. You don't have a neutral party in there to arbitrate. You just have the police going in and saying, I guess. That's what we're getting at.
For decades, New York City was spending 1/7 of all government welfare dollars in America. Yet crime started falling in the city only when the NYPD adopted the data-driven policing that has now become
Nope. False. False.
The norm across the country, sending
Nope. Okay, this is stop and frisk is what she's talking about. We know stop and frisk is racist.
officers to the areas where they are most needed.
Nope.
That norm
Nope. What they did is they put officers in majority black neighborhoods, told them to stop black people that they'd see walking down the street. They'd find all number of things and arrest them for bullshit. That's exactly what happened. And they said, oh, hey, look, these are the neighborhoods now that have crime, so we're sending more police officers there. Thus, like I said, self-fulfilling prophecy, they're noticing more crime in those neighborhoods because there's more officers there. Like, if I'm going to pretend this map is somewhat accurate, but if there's a bunch of homicides and stuff happening right here and there's no police around to see it, they're not going to report that as police need to go there. They're going to just not see it.
is now threatened. Sure, there are bad cops of all races who must be
Of all races. Holy shit. The mental gymnastics. Just say there's bad cops. But also, the saying isn't you just need to get rid of them. They're saying a bad, like the saying with a bad apple ruins the barrel. That's the saying.
removed. That is true of
And we need to readjust the whole system of policing. And it is true of every profession, but it's much more likely and probable that that's in the police officer. There are a higher percentage of quote-unquote bad apples under police in the police
every
officer.
profession and always will be. But so is this. The overwhelming majority of officers are motivated by a desire to help the most vulnerable among us.
Don't believe it. I actually don't believe it. There's a lot of police that go in for a lot of reasons. I mean, yeah, but murders, not all the time. Some people don't report things to the police officers. Like, if you're an illegal immigrant and you're in and you're in a neighborhood where there's a lot of other illegal immigrants, you're not calling the police for any reason because you're going to get deported. And again, this is conjecture. This is fucking conjecture. We don't know why police sign up to be police.
Police are not the problem.
Yes, they are. They absolutely are. You know this. She fucking knows this shit too.
Racism is not the problem.
Yes. Holy shit. Holy shit. Is she making an appeal that says racism is okay? Jesus fucking Christ. No, absolutely. Racism is one of the biggest factors in all of this. Jesus. Fucking what?
Crime is
Sorry,
the problem.
My cat's looking at me. And crime is not the problem. Crime is caused... Again, crime is caused by a lot of other bullshit.
The law-abiding citizens of high-crime communities, the ones who will pay the price of a diminished police presence, get it.
I also like how they're not bringing in and talking about actual people saying this actual evidence. It's just all fucking conjecture and anecdotal evidence and stuff. They're not actually naming names or citing an interview with anything. They're just saying, oh, well, some people say this. That means I'm right.
If you believe that all Black lives matter, you should too. I'm Heather.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm not letting you do any fucking shit like that on my stream. No, we're done. You're done. You're done. Fucking. No, she likes attention. She's an attention whore. Aren't you? Aren't you, baby? She's upset that I wasn't petting her. But yeah, no, like, this is ridiculous. This is a lot of what PragerU does. They don't actually put out factual information, or if they do, they're twisting it and they're purporting that they're, misusing that facts. So yeah, no,